Hi friends, today we are going to break cybersecurity down to the domains that matter most. It's not going to be just a list of random tools or isolated, but one connected system. So in the next minutes, you will see how modern cybersecurity works across governance, protection, detection, threat intelligence, incident response, application security, cloud security, offensive validation, and resilience. By the end of this video, you should have a practical mental model that you can use to understand how incidents actually unfold and how mature organizations respond. Domain 1. Governance, risk, and compliance. Let's start with governance, risk, and compliance, usually called GRC. GRC answers three core questions. What matters most to the businesses? What can go wrong? What level of risk are we willing to accept? Without GRC, security programs become reactive and tool-driven. Priorities become clear. For example, not all identities are equal. A privileged identity used for finance approvals, cloud administration, or core business operations should be protected and monitored before lower risk accounts. Is where technical risk gets translated into business language. This is where frameworks help. We have frameworks like NIST CSF, which gives a practical structure. We have ISO 27001, which gives formal control governance. And we have FAIR, which helps in order to quantify the risk in financial terms. So the thing is that a strong GRC function drives decisions like this. Enforce MFA and stronger access controls on privileged users. Tighten third-party risk review for critical vendors. Align security investment to business impact, not just trend-driven spending. So the key is simple. GRC is not paperwork, it is about prioritization, attack surface, and exposure management. Your attack surface is everything an attacker can discover. This can be things like internet-facing servers, APIs, cloud workloads, exposed identities, endpoints, and forgotten assets nobody realized were still online. This is why inventory is super important. You cannot defend what you do not know what exists. Exposure management means continuously discovering assets, classifying risk, and validating what is exploitable. Some major examples that show why this matters, for instance, Log4Shell, which was about spreading globally because organizations did not always know where the vulnerable component existed. They were not sure they were even using this at all in their systems. So the lesson here is that exposure is dynamic. Your attack surface is changing every day. So discovery and prioritization must be continuous, not annual, for instance. Domain 3. Protection controls. Now let's move to protection controls. Protection reduces the probability of compromise and limits blast radius. Think in layers: identity layer, endpoint layer, network and edge layer, and data layer. In identity, you use IAM, MFA, conditional access, and privileged access management. On endpoints, you use EDR and policy controls. At the network and application edge, you rely on segmentation, firewalls, and UAF protections. At the data layer, you use DLP, encryption, and access restrictions. This is where zero trust principles become practical. Never assume trust based only on network location. Continuously verify identity, device, and context. And least privilege is critical. If an account is compromised, low privilege can prevent high impact. Protection is not about making compromise impossible. It is about making compromise harder, slower, and less damaging. Domain 4. SOC and Detection Engineering. Now we enter the SOC domain. The Security Operations Center, SOC, turns telemetry into decisions. Telemetry comes from identity logs, endpoints, cloud platforms, networks, applications, and security controls. SOC analysis triage alerts, investigate suspicious activity, and escalate real incidents. Detection engineering is the discipline behind this. It is the ongoing work of writing, tuning, and validating decisions. A mature SOC does not chase every alert. It correlates signals into patterns that indicate real attacker behavior. For example, one signal might be a new impossible travel login. Another might be suspicious token behavior. A third might be unusual endpoint activity. Together, they form a higher confidence incident. Important SOC metrics include MTTD, which is mean time to detect, and MTTR, which is mean time to respond. So the goal is simple: detect earlier, respond faster, and reduce false positives, and improve coverage across MITRE-AT and CK techniques. Related to this, we have platforms like Splunk, Sentinel, Elastic, SecOps, Cyber Threat Intelligence, CTI. CTI answers who is targeting us, how they operate, and what is likely to come next. CTI is not just collecting indicators. Its value is translation from external signals to internal defense action. A useful distinction is IOC versus TTP. IOCs are specific artifacts like domains, hashes, or IP addresses. TTPs are attacker behaviors and methods. Both matter. If CTI observes a phishing campaign targeting your sector, that intelligence should quickly become concrete action. SOC detection updates, hunting queries, and targeted user awareness messaging. So CTI expands your time horizon. Instead of only reacting to incidents, you prepare before impact. Domain 6. Digital Forensics and Incident Response, DFIR. DFIR is where we establish what really happened, not what we guess happened, what evidence proves happened. DFIR reconstructs timeline, attack chain, persistence methods, lateral movement, and possible data exfiltration. During an incident, DFIR helps answer critical scope questions. Was this one endpoint or many? Was there persistence? Did data leave the organization? Without DFIR, teams may recover too early, miss hidden persistence, or underestimate impact. With DFIR, remediation is evidence-based, so the core message is this: detection tells us something is wrong. DFIR tells us what is true. Domain 7. Application Security and API Security is about reducing vulnerabilities through the software lifecycle. That means design, coding, build, test, deployment, and post-release monitoring. Typical practices include threat modeling, SAST, DAST, software composition analysis, and secrets detection. API security is now central because business logic increasingly lives in APIs. Some of the most damaging issues are not flashy memory exploits. They are logic and authorization flaws. For example, broken object-level authorization can let one user access another tenant's data if identifiers are manipulated. The practical lesson is that secure delivery is continuous. It is not one scan before release. It is repeated validation plus strong engineering patterns. Domain 8. Offensive security and validation. Offensive security validates whether defenses actually work in realistic conditions. Pen testing and red teaming are related but different. Pen testing often focuses on finding vulnerabilities in defined scope. Red teaming evaluates detection and response against adversary-like behavior. Purple teaming then connects offense and defense, so findings become immediate detection and response improvements. This is critical. Control that exists on paper may fail in practice. Offensive validation reveals those gaps before real attackers exploit them. So offensive work is not separate from defense. It is one of defense's strongest feedback loops. Domain 9, Cloud Security and Posture. Cloud changed the perimeter model. In cloud environments, identity and configuration are often more important than traditional network boundaries. Common cloud risks include over-permissioned IAM roles, misconfigured public storage, and drift from secure baselines. This is why posture management matters. Cloud security mature means three things: a strong identity governance, continuous posture visibility, and fast remediation pipelines. In other words, cloud security is less about static parameter control and more about continuous control validation. The final domain, domain 10, resilience, backup, and recovery. Resilience is where security proves business value. The objective is not only to stop attacks. The objective is to recover operations safely and quickly. This is where RTO and RPO matter. RTO is how quickly services must be restored. RPO is how much data loss is acceptable. For ransomware scenarios, recovery quality often determines business impact more than the initial infection itself. If backups are immutable, tested, and tied to clear restoration playbooks, an organization can contain disruption. If not, disruption becomes a crisis. Resilience also includes lessons learned. Every incident should feed back into better controls, better detection, better architecture, and better governance. Recovery is not a reset. It is about a maturity upgrade. So, closing in summary, how domains connect in real incidents. Let's close with one integrated example. A phishing campaign targets a privileged user. Protection controls, SOC, detect suspicious access behavior. Automated playbooks revoke sessions and block indicators. Enriches the incident with campaign infrastructure and related tactics. DFIR validates whether there was a lateral movement or data exposure. AppSec and infrastructure teams remediate technical root causes. Resilience teams restore normal operations and verify integrity. Then GRC updates risk priorities and investment decisions. That is the real model. Cybersecurity is not one team. It is coordinated decision-making across domains. And maturity is not measured by total count. It is measured by how well these domains work together before, during, and after incidents. Okay, friends, this has been a tough one, right? See you next week.